Hi guys, welcome to another Pieandbelle Art Class. If you'd like to come to our regular day classes in Leighton Buzzard and Dunstable, please look at my bio for all the information. Today we're going to be looking at this portrait of a young girl. Portraiture is very popular in our classes. It is probably the trickiest thing to do in art because you have to get that likeness. You don't have a lot of artistic license with this. But using pencils is a great way to start because obviously you have room for error. You can erase and get rid of stuff. So we're going to try it in pencil. We use a HB and a 6B and a rubber and a pencil stump, a paper stump for this picture. So the way I'm getting it down here is to grid it. Now there's lots of different methods and I show these in the class, but gridding seems to be a real firm favourite. You can get to the point where you can draw without a grid. I can draw this without a grid, but it is really nice to kind of use this as a starting point. It's not cheating. Nothing is cheating in art at the beginning because you're in the learning process. So if you use a grid like this, all you're going to do is put inch squares on your picture and inch squares on your paper, and you're just going to copy what you see in each of the squares. Now this can be a little bit tricky because when we've got the basic picture, it's really hard to kind of see if the basic picture is the same as the photograph you're looking at, because obviously they can look very different when you've just got an outline. So what I like to get my class to do is actually draw an outline like this and then use a paper stump to get a little bit of the colour of the 6B pencil and put in a few bits of shadow just to see if that helps them to see. So what I'm doing now is opening my pencils. I'm going to get the 6B and put a little bit of that colour on another piece of paper, and I'm just going to start putting in some kind of shades, and this helps you make sure you've got the nose in the right place. And when you're using the paper stump just to apply the colour like this, is actually really easy to erase as well. So you're not putting anything down that you can't erase at this point. Everything is kind of soft and easy to rub out if it's in the wrong place. Now I'd say that's probably enough for me to get a general idea if that's in the right place, but obviously you could add a little bit more. All I would say is do not put very heavy colour down, like don't actually apply the 6B to the paper really hard and pushing down really hard, because you will find that you won't be able to erase that if you find it's in the wrong place. So when I was happy with it, I'm going to continue, and you still have a little bit of room for error anyway, because if you don't start really heavy, I mean I'm starting heavy on her hair, but that's because I wanted some of that product to kind of use in the rest of it anyway. But you want to start building it up bit by bit. Now the eyes are the worst bit to get in the wrong place, so I think start with the eyes, make sure the eyes look correct and in the right place, and start with the eyes, and then you can move the other areas around it. Now there's two ways of softening the colour out. You can use the paper stump, which gives you precision, and you can use your finger. Now fingers give a much softer effect. You can also use tissue paper if you find your fingers are very oily, because sometimes your fingers will get oily over the time, or hot over the time that you're using them, because obviously you're warming up when you're doing more and more of your work. So if you find that you have too much oil on your finger and it's transferring onto the paper and making the smudging dark, you can always use a little bit of tissue paper under your finger, which will mean it will never get oily, it will just stay the same. Now what I'm doing now is building up shadow. I've got one eye in and I'm building up shadows around it to see if everything looks like it's in the right place. Now it's really good if you keep taking steps back. I cannot say this enough. When we're in class, a lot of people kind of get really involved in what they're doing, and actually it's when you take a step back that you can see the shapes more. So when you're copying, you're just copying like very close up shapes, and when you take a step back you can see if all those shapes are working together and make it look correct. So it is very important to take kind of momentary steps back, which is why I have breaks in the video. So you'll see when the scene moves on to something different that I've had a break there just to make sure everything's in the right place. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to do bit at a time, take a step back, bit at a time, take a step back. Don't go too heavy until you're really happy and you know that that's in the right place. So I'm going to start bringing that other eye in now. And she has very dark eyes in the picture, like when you have a printed off picture like this especially, it can be very dark, like her eyes look almost black. But I don't want to make her eyes almost black, so I'm going to start them lighter and then make them darker as I'm going to see what level I want to take them to. The same as that left side of her face. I'm possibly not going to take it as dark as in the printout, because the person that wants it to have, you know, her whole face in there. If I just covered half of it in a shadow, it's not going to look exactly how she wants. So I am just considering things that I'm doing as I'm going along, how far I want to take it. And also little things, I think I put her eyebrows slightly too high. I think I make the left eye, I bring down a little bit, and the right eye, I don't get the shape because she has quite a kind of slope to the right of her eye, and I don't get that shape exactly correct. And you'll see the way I kind of correct these over the course of this video, and that is exactly like I say, all due to steps, taking steps back. But another really good way of doing that is to have this photo on your phone, potentially the photo on the left, and then continually take photos of your picture at the same point, so that the faces are the same size on your phone, and then flick back and forth. That's a really good way of checking that everything is in the right place and you haven't missed something. There's lots of different little tricks. You can flick your eyes back and forth from one to the other. You basically always want to be checking back and forth from close up, like I'm sitting here, but also from a distance. So there is always a room for error with doing portraits. Don't feel like once you put something in the wrong place you just have to go with it. You can always rub out, as long as you're being quite careful with your placement. I mean, the only thing on this I couldn't rub out is the centres of her eyes, and those dark hairs are put around, and the centre of her mouth at the moment. Everything else could be erased. So just be very careful when you're putting the darkness in. And you will see that actually when it comes towards the end of this video, I actually do really put a lot of darkness in then. So it is worth starting off a bit light and going heavier towards the end. Now I think it's hard to tell when you're doing a face whether it looks correct until you put the hair around it. I definitely think that's a thing. You can see there I'm altering that eye. I realised that eye was too small in the last time. But I think once you start getting that hair in, you will start seeing the face come out a bit more. It's surprising how much hair makes a difference. Now I'm doing dark hair here, which I think is a lot easier than blonde hair. With blonde hair you have to consider the shadows in the blonde hair, so you're kind of drawing the hair negatively rather than what I'm doing, which is drawing little kind of stripes of hair. You are actually going to go in and draw the shadows of the hair, so wherever there's little dark spots, put them in first, and then you can bring some stringy light strokes with your pencil. That's absolutely fine at the end, but you really want to think of the negative first, blonde hair. Now you saw as well when I was doing her hair how I did twist the paper around so that I got the stroke easier with my pencil. I could actually move it nicer. It moved in a nice curve, easier for me. Don't ever feel like you have to do the entire picture the right way up. You know, turn the page around, you can see there, turn it upside down so that because my hand naturally moves in a curve better that way. And I am, as you can see, kind of starting from the top down. I don't want to be leaning too much. Now hair isn't a problem, because when you're doing hair you're just kind of doing light strokes, and you can see I can lean my wrist quite far away from her face anyway. But when I was doing her facial features, I did want to start kind of from the top and work my way down so that I'm not constantly leaning into the face and smudging bits that I don't want to be smudging. So do consider working up, like from the top downwards. Don't feel like you have to you know, start with a specific area of her face to get that right. You want to kind of work from the top down. Now clothes, it's up to you. I'm going to take a bit of artistic license here and just make her have a plain top, but you could put in the entire kind of animal print that she has on there, or whatever they've got on their clothes, but I tend to think it's nicer to make the actual face the feature. But I will get those folds in the clothes just because that's a really nice touch, makes it look a little bit more realistic. But as you can see, I'm putting in the darkness of where the folds are in, but then I also will come in with the eraser and I will erase out little areas of the folds as well to highlight them. So I'm erasing little highlights on her face there, and that does make such a huge difference. It's unbelievable how much of a difference that makes, and you can see there in the folds as well, just taking some of that out really does make a difference. I often will soften my finger over the entire of the face of a child just because they have very soft features. And now this is my last stage where I am literally going to come in and really darken her eyebrows and hair because I feel very happy with how she's looking. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to darken a lot of those areas and give her some more kind of wispy craziness going on with her hair. And I'm going to come in and darken those eyebrows, give her a bit more eyelashes because I can see that she's got very dark eyes. And that's it. That's our finished picture. I hope that did help you get some idea of how to start with a pencil drawing. I think the smudges are very important, and using a very soft pencil can help you get those real deeps. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.